Alright, I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to start off the video with a cold start of the Ranger after it's been modified. So, just to show y'all the exhaust that we're running right there. I don't know how good y'all can see. Right there is where the exhaust ends. So, open headers basically. And I'm gonna just set y'all down here. There is no check engine light either. I'm gonna just set y'all down here so y'all can hear it. It's pretty loud, honestly. It's too loud with open headers. This car does not, or this truck does not accelerate fast, so I really kind of got to step on it to get anywhere, and that is really, really annoying whenever you have open headers. It shakes the whole daggum truck. So we're going to be ordering some exhaust parts soon. I'll have another video putting an exhaust on this thing, so stay tuned for that. Hope you all enjoy the video. Well, I have finally got my Ranger in the shop, and I'm finally working on it. I am going to be replacing valve cover gaskets and adding a little bit of spice to its life, if you know what those are. So, yeah, I just noticed that there's fluid leaking down there, and I guess that's oil. It's either trans fluid or regular oil. But hopefully it's just oil. It looks red, so it's probably trans oil, which, good thing I have a trans pan gasket, because that also needs taken care of. So what I've done already, taken the air intake hose off. This is a PCV hose that goes from the dipstick, or the oil fill tube, to the air intake. And then there's these two vacuum lines, which are for this sensor right here, which goes down to the EGR, which we're also deleting the EGR on this. And I just played around with it a little bit while it was running. I took those two hoses off, and it just started running super smooth. So I know I'm headed down a good route. So we're gonna be doing some weight reduction and making her better. So the throttle cable goes on right here. There's like a little ball right here on the throttle, the actual throttle. That just clips right in here. So all you have to do is pry this off with a screwdriver. That's what I did. And I think that's about all. This is the sensor that went into there. I just put a bag around it because I took the whole sensor out. So I don't want anything touching that sensor because those are pretty sensitive. I had bubbles coming out of my coolant, which may or may not be no bueno or not. I don't really know. But, sorry, my voice is really crappy today. I think that's all for now. Next, I'm just going to be taking off this sensor, and just a bunch of plugs that go onto the intake, and and then we can start tearing, like this big plug right here. I forget what someone called it, but big plug right here, another sensor thingamajig valve. That's the EGR valve. That's the EGR valve right there, which that's going to be getting gone. The coil pack will need to come off. There's some sensors, vacuum lines down here. Nothing too crazy, it's all easy. This radiator hose will need to come off. I'll just unhook it here and just put it on the other side. And then we can get to the valve covers. Hopefully I don't have to pull the alternator off. I don't think I will be, I don't think I'll need to though. I can finagle it on there. And then I got paint, so I'm going to paint the valve covers black, make them look good. And yeah, we'll get headers done too. So hopefully I can have the valve covers off by tonight. That's what I want to do. So we'll see if that happens. I got to go to work in a little bit, and then we can work on it when we get home. So I'm just gonna pan over here to these sensors. One sensor there, one sensor there, sensor underneath it, sensor valve thing right there. And those are the 4. I think that one does not go onto the intake, so it doesn't need touched. We don't have to worry about the EGR till we get the intake off. So I need to put this right here. That would look really nice. I'm talking a lot. So I'm gonna get to working. Yeah. So coil pack mount has a bolt that goes down there right next to the exhaust manifold. And then there's this tiny bolt that this thing bolts on, which is like a vacuum thing or a wire or something that literally just goes to that. So, well, I got the intake off, and the EGR was being a bear to get that intake off. But look at how dirty it is in that intake. And I guarantee you that is about all from this thing, which is pretty crazy. That is absolutely ridiculous. But I can see the blue valve cover gaskets, so that's how we know it ain't good. So I guess so far about right where we're at. This hose probably needs to come off. You can work around this one. There's these wires right here, which you might need to, oh, they actually come out of the way, so you're good there. That's all for this side. And then for this side, it'll be just this big one. And then I think you can get around everything else. Yeah, everything else you can get around. So then it's just unbolt them. Well, y'all, it is 9:30 at night, and I have worked on this thing for a while. 1 valve cover gasket, 2 valve cover gaskets, valve cover gaskets, and oh look, would you looky there, it says Felpro. You know it's bad then. I'm just kidding. I have a Felpro gasket on the rear diff, and it's not leaked yet, so I've had it for a while. So that one works fine. These are absolutely nasty. They are crap. They're so bad. So also, I was just looking around in the engine, and down in one of the channels where the push rods goes in, I found this, and I was like, what the freak? I thought it was a peeling part of a lifter. I was like, oh my gosh. But it's just from an oil cap, from an oil container that got dumped in. It's that side, which that side is this one, which has the oil fill neck on it. So basically, this is not a hard job to do. You just need to remember where everything goes, which isn't too hard. It's easy. I mean, this EGR tube that sticks up into the intake gets in the way some, which is why I'm deleting it. It also kills the engine, obviously. I don't know, I guess I showed you all the actual intake part of it, how nasty it is. But yeah, that's it for now. I'm going to bed. So tomorrow is taking off the exhaust manifolds, the EGR, and cleaning up these valve cover gaskets. So see you then. So I have been working for a while now. I have gotten this part of the EGR off. It's the part that actually sticks up in the intake, which would have been hanging around right about here. And then I got the bracket cut off because the bolts right here and on the other side are too rusty to get off. So I also snapped this bolt off that holds the dipstick on, so I might have to figure something out there, or just leave it like that. Probably just leave it. But got that bracket cut, and now it's just hanging on by the manifold down there, which I'm taking the whole manifold off because I've got headers in the back, which I think I showed y'all. But I have this manifold. I don't know if you can see it, but it's free. It's just connected to the exhaust. Even though there's a bolt right there, that bolt will not come out for the life of me, but as you can see, it's not connected anymore. So I guess there's just so much corrosion in the actual manifold part that the bolt is just stuck in there. Like, I pried on it, unbolted it, everything. It would not come out. So I'll just leave it in there. When I get the manifold off, I'll get it off. I don't know if I guess I don't need to reuse these bolts anyways, because it comes with new bolts. Got a tire for my lawnmower. Well, the lawnmower that I'm going to hopefully pick up. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. I did a lot of hoping and praying that I didn't break any of these off, and I didn't. So that's one side. Now we still got to get this side. And then the bolts that hold the manifold to the downpipe are rusty as heck. They've probably rusted about halfway through. It's kind of ridiculous. I can't wait to get it off just to see it. But we're gonna get her done. It's coming along pretty good. The only thing I'm worried about is putting everything back together the right way, which I don't think it should be a problem, because I'm documenting it kind of well. I mean, things that I would miss are tiny vacuum lines, but I don't think I took any off really, just ones that go to the intake. I'm yapping. I'll see y'all later whenever I get this other exhaust manifold off, and then I'll start unbolting the exhaust. I got the valve covers cleaned, both of them. Nice and warm out today. Here are the valve covers, looking pretty nice, except for right here. That one's a little crunchy, so that one gets extra silicone. But I'm going to paint those black, probably right before I go to work, and then I'll put another coat on later, and maybe a third coat, I don't know. We'll have to see, but it's coming along pretty good. Well, y'all, they say patience is a virtue. I've still got the valve covers off, but this header is on fully, and this header is being bolted on right now. It's more of a long tube header, to be honest, but it only goes back to about there. I still have the flanges, if you can see that flange right there, and then the one on this one to tighten up, but for now, my exhaust is going to look like this. Open header on this side, and then pretty much open header on this side. The pipe ends right there. But I'm going to do a dual exhaust about up to right here, and then put an X pipe, and then have dual tailpipes, one coming out each side. So yeah, it's a mess. Got the front drive shaft off, O2 sensor hanging there. O2 sensor, plug wires up there. It's a mess. And then the back of the truck is just a graveyard. We got valve covers, intake, hoses, and old exhaust, a little bit of new exhaust stuff. But that's about all for now. Gonna keep bolting this thing on, and my battery's about to die, so see y'all when the exhaust is good until I'm putting the valve covers and intake back on. Alright, I have got it mostly together. And I did not film anything putting it back together because I got too excited and just started doing stuff, and then I got the ball rolling and I just couldn't stop. So here we are. I'm going to show y'all mostly what you need to do. This radiator hose had to come off to get the valve cover off. This radiator line right here on this valve tree had to come off, and it's back on now. There was this vacuum line right here, had to be separated just right here to get the valve cover off and put back on. There's a bolt right here, and supposed to be one there, but I don't have one there. And then there's a bolt down there, right there, that holds the coil pack on, and then the clip for it is right there. That had to come off and put back on to work, you know. Let's see, I think that's about all for this side. there's a wiring harness right here that just you need to pull up here to get the valve cover off. There's this, which I guess I'll talk about that later, but over here I unplugged this sensor and took this sensor off, which I showed y'all taking it off. It was just those two bolts. There's back here the vacuum lines. The one vacuum line goes to this sensor or solenoid or whatever, and then there's this one, which is a PCV valve, which just goes right down into the valve cover, which if you took the valve cover off, then you would know. I did paint my valve covers black, so that's why they look kind of good, if you can tell at all. There's this line that goes from the brake booster to the intake. There's one tiny line, where's my light? There, this vacuum line right here, right there. This one right here, which goes into the intake, it runs down around through here and it goes. It's technically this one. And then the only wiring over here that had to be undone, besides this clip, this clip, this clip, and this sensor, was this one. For this, you just unbolt this and it'll come off. Just be careful putting it back in. You don't want to break anything. Just easy, carefully. If it goes in, it goes in. If it doesn't, then you probably bent something. I did break my dipstick cap off too, by the way. And now I can't find it actually. I thought I put it in the bed of my truck, but I don't know where it is. That's pretty much all. There's obviously this, which I'll show putting that on. I guess I'll just set the camera up and I'll start putting what little I have left to put back on. I guess the first thing I'm going to do is this tiny 7/32 bolt needs to go right here. That hole right there, which is attached to the frame of the coil pack, and it just bolts this random little thing on here. I don't know what the heck it is. I guess it's electrical of some sort. Maybe it's a ground or something, but just be sure that this clip is clipped in all the way. And then it just bolts down there like that. I almost forgot that. So I just had it kind of sitting on one of the valve cover holders because I forgot that it was supposed to go there. Next thing is just this plate, which goes right there, which then the throttle cable will go through there. So next, it's just this plate right here, which just bolts onto these two holes that I showed you. It's pretty simple. It's just the plate. The bolts are the same, and they just bolt on. Alright, got that plate on, and just attaching this thing is just, I did not show that very well. Just put it through, and then there's a clip-y thing right there that you just stick it through and it holds it there. And then for the actual throttle, there's this little ball right here, and the clip, you just clip it on there like that, and your throttle is connected. It also goes on this clip up here if you want, if you're feeling lucky, which I am. I guess next I can do the spark plug wires, which I have my trusty notebook here, which has the locations of all the spark plugs and as opposed to the coil pack. So I'm gonna get those hooked up real quick. Alright, got the intake hose on, which is just hose clamp right here and a hose clamp right here. And then there's this PCV hose, which goes from the fill cap stem also to the intake. And then there's this, which is a sensor, which I think is the first thing I took off when I put it back, or when I was taking it apart. But one thing I forgot to say was you do have this little thing here which has two vacuum lines going down, and then there would be an EGR valve attached to this bracket right here, and then a tube running all the way along here with two little, I don't know, inserts for these two vacuum lines. Mine magically disappeared while I was doing this, so I don't have it, but it's pretty easy to figure out. So just thought I'd say that. The engine should run better now that it disappeared also. So I'm going to get this sensor popped in. Hopefully I didn't break it while I was working on the truck, which is why I have it bundled up pretty good, but we'll see. Oh yeah, whenever you are actually putting the valve cover gaskets on, man, you almost can't even tell that there's valve covers under here. But there are valve covers right there. You want to make sure your valve cover, the mating surface is clean, and then the head surface is clean. My one, I think it was the bolt hole, literally the furthest bolt hole back, had actually rusted through. So I put a little extra, I put silicone on that one, and then there was another one that had started rusting through, so I put silicone on that also, or RTV, black RTV, the oil resistant stuff. So yeah, and then your intake gasket, just make sure it's good. The intake was honestly kind of hard to get on, but I mean, just took a lot of finagling, like you would expect putting a giant piece of plastic in a engine bay and have to put it up on 8 studs like that. So yeah, the engine is complete now. I think I can fire it up. Kind of nervous, but whatever. She's all back together. Let's see what she does. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the key in and let it sit on for a little bit. Oh, he even got the radio. Heck yeah. No new warning lights. Door ajar, battery, which always comes on, check gauge always comes on, check engine is a permanent resident because of the first O2 sensor that is not connected. Let's see if she starts. Oh my gosh, it's so loud. Holy, oh my god. That is so loud. That is crazy. Oh my gosh. It runs good. Need to check for exhaust leaks. That is crazy. It idles amazing. Hoo-wee! Daggum. That's an open headers Ford Ranger for you. Heck yeah. That's a success. So that be the end of the video. I will put an exhaust on it as soon as I get around to doing that, which, I don't know, may or may not be soon. I've got bigger and better things to do than put an exhaust on my straight pipe Ranger. But yeah, so I'm happy with that. Yeah, I guess I'll end the video now. If you have any questions, leave a comment. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.